Raw Takes and Co. Andrew Hody, Jake Malensik, Matthias Andahar, all in one place. Matthias, I don't know what's
That's not
going on.
true. We're in three separate places.
Yes, we are in three separate
Okay,
places,
let's
but
just
we're
keep
in the.
going.
All right, Matthias, you might want to restart your camera there, buddy.
He's fine. What are you
What?
talking about?
Oh, I don't know. On my end, it's like glitching out. It's like green and
No,
green.
Matthias has a fancy new camera and it looks really good. And now
Okay,
it doesn't.
I was
Now
gonna
it's
green.
not. Awesome.
But
Okay.
it looked good. The first couple
It
seconds, he
sure
looked
did.
great.
Oh, there
Okay,
it
let's
is. Yeah,
no
I
more
was gonna say it
glitch.
was like green and flickery on my end, and I don't know
Got
why.
the braids going. We're
Yeah,
back. We're
we're
so
good to go
back.
though. Cavs in six, and Matthias might be right. We're going to get to our playoff predictions, but let's just say, guys, it was a week hiatus last week. Where all three of us are together again for the first time in a while, and it's so good to have us all here. Let's be real. It's
Oh,
good.
he was safe. Dang.
All right, who's picking dinner and who's paying? As of right now, Matthias is picking and I'm paying. If you look at the score there, Matthias is up 18, Jake at
Yes.
17, and Jake's coveted second place position, and I'm at 16. And you take a
If you
look,
lose to me in NBA, you should have to pay double.
you're
That's
probably right.
crazy.
You're probably right, but we're not going to get into that right now. Here's the bracket right now. Here's what we had for round one, but obviously that's not as important as round two right now. I did pick Oklahoma City to sweep, and I will
Yeah,
say I
that was
don't think
big for you.
anyone's beating the Thunder. That's my opinion. But Spurs and the T Wolves, we'll go into these series individually. I still think that series is going seven. I'm not so sure Minnesota's going to win the series, but I still pick Minnesota to win the series. So I'm riding out with my prediction. I want to give Matthias some props here on the Cavs because it's looking good that as we record this, it's the night before. But tonight, as the viewers may be watching this, game six in Cleveland between the Cavs and the Pistons. That is going to be a game to watch. Obviously, game six for San Antonio and Minnesota as well. The difference, though, is the Cavs are up 3-2 at home, and Minnesota's down 3-2 at home. So Minnesota needs to tie the series, and the Cavs are
Minnesota.
looking as the Cavs are looking to win the series. So that's big there. But those are our predictions, and those are our current scores to add up to where you see here. Matthias currently the front runner and everything. But that's where we are there in this terms of the standings. So let's talk about the series. Um, We'll do some of the NBA for most of the show. We'll talk a little bit about the WNBA as well as there's been some big games going on there. Matthias and Jake definitely have some more expertise on that. And then Major League Baseball at the end of the show. How are the Chicago White Sox in the wild card race right now? Find out our thoughts on that later on. But let's start off with the NBA for who picks and who's paying. As right now, Matthias is picking and I'm paying. So Matthias, we'll start things off with you. We'll save the Cavs for a little bit later. Let's start off with a series that are already done and dusted. New York and Philadelphia, 4-0. The Knicks clean sweep the Sixers. The Sixers came back down 3-1 against the Celtics, which I don't think anyone saw coming. To me, I had the Knicks actually going to the finals the whole way through. That was my prediction. I'm not saying the Knicks are going to win the finals, but I had New York making the finals. And to me, I still think they're on easy track to do so. But I still thought, based on the fact Philadelphia came back down 3-1, they would have some juice in this series. I'm kind of stunned, Matthias, that the Sixers got clean swept the way they did with everyone healthy for the most part in that series. I just think the Knicks also were the better team overall, too. But at the same time, I still thought the Sixers would squeak one out.
I mean, yeah, it was just you said mostly everyone there, but they were missing their biggest contributor in Joel Embiid for 90% of the series.
Were they
Uh,
okay? That's on
Yeah,
me.
Embiid was
I'll be
out for a
completely
while, I
honest.
think. Yeah.
I'll be completely honest. I didn't really watch this series as much as I probably should have. I thought Embiid was back in the swing of things. So I watched him against Boston come back and lead the
yeah, I'm
charge,
gonna,
but his injuries have been questionable. Okay, that's on me. I didn't watch the series as much as I should have. I thought Embiid was back in the swing of things. I'm sorry
no,
about
yeah, that's fair. I think he to your credit, I think he played for like game one or two, and then he got dunked on by Mitchell Robinson, and then like we didn't see him again.
that.
He missed enough time in the series that it mattered, I think is the best way to put it. Like I don't think it was the whole series, but I do
Yeah,
think from what I remember, he missed enough time in that series where it's like they probably don't win, but they probably don't get swept. Like they probably are like they push him to 6 and make him sweat a little bit.
Mhm.
Yeah, especially like the way that Tyrese Maxey, VJ Edgecombe, and even Paul George in the Celtics series was playing. I really thought this team was like going to have more fight in them, going to push the New York Knicks, especially defensively. But really, props to Cat. He has stepped up entirely this playoffs, but especially in that series, it mattered a lot. Since Joel Embiid was out,
Mhm.
they had the big man advantage, and he definitely took advantage of that. On top of that, it was also just Jalen Brunson being a dog. And like, I'll go to the defensive end because, yeah, they had so many pieces that they had to stop from the 76ers. But Jalen Brunson was just, he knew he was going to get his, and the team was just going to work around him getting his own. But it's like no matter who was on him, like I thought that since Maxey was a bigger body, Edgecombe could pseudo keep up with him, and that Paul George was playing like the 2018 almost DPOY, almost MVP type. I thought that Philly had a better chance, and New York shut me up really quick. So I still had New York winning the series. I thought it was 7, but they brought up their brooms, and it looks like they're sharing the broom with OKC with both of these series.
We'll get to OKC here in just a second. Jake, you have any thoughts on the Knicks Sixers?
I think we've covered most of it. I think it's unfortunate, like we mentioned with Embiid. I think hindsight would have rathered it be Boston, right? And that's the part that's a little frustrating. I mean, another Knicks Boston series for the trip to the Eastern Conference Finals probably would have been more entertaining. But we'll get to the Boston Celtics and their question marks at a later date because Jaylen Brown said some wild stuff. So that's probably a different story for a different day. But not, I don't have a ton on that series specifically. I mean, the Knicks when they're locked in, man, they are really really tough to beat. I mean, you saw against the Hawks in that last game, and then a couple of these games against Phillies. I mean, they blew them out. I mean, there was not a lot of moments in this series where you felt like the Sixers were in a game, and I think unfortunately I was in the same boat. I didn't really watch a lot of the series. I mean, I checked the scores and the stats, but it just didn't feel like it's similar to the series we're about to talk about. There wasn't a lot of action that you really needed to sit down and watch.
I agree 100%. I mean, as I said, I really didn't keep an eye on this series like I should have. I thought the Knicks were going to win the series in 6 or 7 games with the idea that Embiid was healthy, but Embiid needs to. I see what you did there, Jake.
If you keep doing it, I'm gonna keep doing it.
6-7, 6-7, 6-7, 6-8. All right. uh, but to me, like Philadelphia, I mean, if Embiid was healthy, I think this is a different series. But granted, I'm still the 76ers shouldn't walk away from this season as though it was a failure. I mean, they were the 7th seed and they came back 3-1 against the Boston Celtics. To me, that was a success in itself. So
Yeah, we
they did get swept by the Knicks, but like I feel like as them being the 3 seed, it's acceptable for the fact they came back 3-1 against Boston. The Celtics season, based on, there wasn't high expectations for the Celtics at the beginning of the year. Then they became the 2 seed, and the expectations rose gradually over the season, but substantially by the end. And to collapse like that in round one against a team like Philadelphia that ended up getting swept by the Knicks, I think that leaves us with more questions about the Celtics and less about the 76ers. So to me, the 76ers were resilient, and I think we should give them props for getting to where they got, especially from where they were seated. But to me, the New York Knicks keep cruising by. I think it's literally possibly next to Oklahoma City, the easiest trip to the conference finals a team could have. Although I will give the Hawks did get smoked in Game 6, but we do have to give the Hawks credit. They won 2 games in that series. I think we kind of forgot about that, despite the fact that they got smoked Game 6. But they did win two
Oh no,
games
I
in that
didn't.
series, despite by 1 point in both those games. They still did. I think the Hawks deserve credit for ending the season on a good note, too. And I think the 76ers should get that, too. I think we should look at the Philadelphia 76ers of 25-26 as a resilient group that won a playoff series and no one expected them to. That's me. The process, as you guys said in the last episode, the process came to fruition. The process just couldn't move past the
If
net.
you look at the roster, you can't be up. Philly fans, I'm going to apologize in advance again because I look at that roster and I'm excited. Get honestly,
Bright future in Philly potentially ahead.
play Embiid enough games to make the playoffs, and then that's it. And he's so that he's healthy by the time the playoffs come around. Get like the six
Well,
seed,
you need
get
to
the
keep him
five seed.
healthy. You need to
Right.
keep him
Keep him
healthy.
healthy and you're good. You got Maxi. Edge comes only going to get better. You know, Paul George is cool when he's, focused and playing.
Paul
He,
George to me
he's
is
gonna play
the
after
fourth best player on the 76ers. I would
And that
I would
is
easily
that's
take
great.
Embiid
That's
one,
fantastic.
Maxey two, Edgecombe three, and that might be a big three all-star team next year, 26, 27. We'll see how the
Yeah, and then you have Paul George as your fourth man. That's fantastic. Andre Drummond was cashing a few threes.
Well, speaking of a team that has a fourth man and a fifth man, because if you
Who
look at
did? Yeah.
Hartenstein, if he was on the Utah Jazz, he's absolutely a superstar in this league. But he has Chet Holmgren, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Lou Dort, Jalen Williams, and all these other guys around him. Oklahoma City smoking the Los Angeles Lakers. Not even a contest either, just like this Knicks Sixers series. Uh, I mean, I was watching some of the games of the series. I focused more on this one, to be honest with you, over the Sixers. And I watched game three a little bit.
You were LeBron hate watching. You can admit it. It's okay.
Well, here's the deal. The Lakers,
So I nailed that.
the Lakers were close in the third quarter of game three, and then Oklahoma City just blew them out of the water. And I was watching the Thunder thinking to myself, who is stopping this team? They're starting five across the board. When you look at their starting five, from guys like Lou Dort to Shed Holmgren to Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, I mean, you could put any one of those five guys on a struggling team. Take Shea Gilgeous-Alexander out of it because he's obviously the superstar. You could put Chet Holmgren on a bad team, and I bet you'd still find a way to win 45 games with him as your number one option. You don't think
No
so?
chance. No,
I
he's
think
no,
you
not that
would.
good. I
no.
think the Thunder are good because the collection of players that they have fit well together and they're deep. But I don't know that. First of all, Chet is the third best player on the team, so
Yeah,
I would there-
I would
like
agree
you
with
could
that.
maybe make that argument for J Dub, but
But you put Chet on a team as his own guy with a cast around him. I definitely think you still win 44, 45 games.
I
With
I
decent
don't know.
games.
You put him on the Jazz, they're winning 32.
Okay, maybe Atlanta, the Hawks.
Okay, but they're a playoff team.
Right. So
I
if you
agree.
yeah, if you put Chet on a playoff
Okay.
on the
I
Hawks, like
maybe
they're
I should
obviously
have used a
better.
better analogy there. I won't. Okay, you
No,
put him on the Hawks or
the,
you put him
the
on the
the
76ers.
the point that you're trying to make is correct that they have a lot of they have players that are in roles that would be bigger roles if they were on a different team, but I also don't I think we look at some of the players on the Thunder that I think we think they're better than they are because they fit the roster so well. And that's not a discredit, but like
Mhm.
No, yeah, that's good
is
roster building.
yeah, it's I don't think Lou Dort like individually is this incredibly gifted player. I think he's a good defender who has offensive moments at times, but doesn't need to have offensive moments because the team has two offensive players that are miles better than him. And
Yeah.
that's where it's like, yeah, Lou Dort individually is like a 6 out of 10, but you put him on that roster, he's an 8 because he doesn't have to be anything other than a defensive specialist and put people in the Dortress.
But still, you look at SGA and J Dubs and the rest of the roster.
It's
I
a
mean,
good roster. It's
it's just
just they
so
just
good.
fit well together.
It's
It's
just
just
so
good.
good.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's
I
the
get
team
they
building
fit
aspect.
well, and I
Matthias
get
nailed
that
it.
Mark Dagnall's a great coach. But to me, like, who is stopping this squad? Like, and they have so many future picks. So if these players end up leaving down the line, they could just replace them in house. I mean, I saw talks on some national media about the genius that Sam Presti is. If he
Yeah.
ends up creating an Oklahoma City Thunder dynasty here, I think you damn well have to appreciate the man as the best executive that the game has ever seen. And I'm
We
even
talked
going
about it
prior to the
on a
MJ
previous
era.
episode
I know you
about
did.
how this was the craziest roster building we've ever seen and it's still true.
This
Yeah.
man built. He didn't win championships with the teams he built prior with Russ Westbrook and Paul George and Kevin Durant and James Harden and all those guys. But like think about the players that he also developed that were talented that had success elsewhere. Like Victor Oladipo when he left the Thunder found some success with Indiana temporarily. He wasn't a superstar, but he ended up being a very good player elsewhere.
He's a
Like,
dog.
yeah, I mean, like you have to look at what Sam Presti he knows how to draft, he knows how to develop, and he's creating possibly a dynasty in the making with Oklahoma City. I mean, and it's not going to end anytime soon. The Thunder might not win every championship every season, but this team, I think they're going to win the championship in 2026. I think they're going to at least repeat. They probably can three-peat. I don't know if they will. I don't want to say that's going to happen yet, but they
Impossible.
probably
Not
could
impossible.
three-peat. They probably could three-peat looking at the landscape of the NBA right now. And they have future to develop with the capital they
It's
have.
so hard to three. Even the
It
Warriors
is.
didn't three-peat.
But the Bulls three-peated twice in the 90s. And you
Do
Yep.
look at the
you
field
think they're on
then.
the same level as the Bulls?
I will
This
say
team
this,
does
though.
not have Michael
I agree
Jordan.
with that. It's a
This
different
team doesn't
era.
have Scottie Pippen.
This is a
Well,
different era of basketball. You can't compare
right.
2020s basketball to 1990s basketball.
Nobody's
It's a
three-peated since
different
the
era.
90s.
I agree with that. But I'm just saying, looking at the landscape, do the
The
Denver
landscape is
Nuggets have
that
an answer for the Oklahoma City Thunder
if
now?
the
I don't
landscape
think
is that
so.
the Spurs are going to be astronomically better next year to an already really good team.
I won't
Because
disagree with that. The
they're
Spurs
going
I
could
to
be
mean,
really
it's
add.
still
good.
going to
Yeah,
be
There's
that
no way they don't add a
Minnesota.
secondary star
I
that isn't
agree. I
De'Aaron
think
Fox.
Wembenyama is going to get a ring. I don't disagree with that. But I'm just saying, I still are you going to count out OKC next year too?
Well,
No.
no, but I'm not going to just
There's my
declare
point.
them champions
And San
when the
Antonio's still in it right now. So I'm not declaring them champions. I said the likelihood of them three-peating is high. I'm not
oh
saying that they're going to repeat.
that's the opposite
Well,
of what I'm
I
saying.
think they're going to repeat. I don't think they're going to three-peat. I mean, they could three-peat. I'm not saying they're going to. I don't know yet. I think
The
Oklahoma City
likelihood
next
of
year
them
is likely
three-peating
going to win.
is very low.
You think it's low?
Yeah, because
I
it's
think it's
really,
50
really
fifty.
hard to win a
Honestly.
championship because you have to egg. You also have to get lucky.
Teams.
No words.
Let's look at the teams in both of the conferences right now. There could be obviously the Spurs. They're already developing. They're already a great team. There's also like Minnesota, who was in the conference finals last year, and in this year are playing their hearts out, and they have been very extreme. They have been an extremely consistent team that I personally have been overlooking, but I think we should stop because Anthony Edwards is one of those dogs. Rudy Gobert has proven that he is still a really great defender. Jaden McDaniels proved himself as a playoff riser. Other than that, they do have some pieces that they need to get rid of, but they have time to do that. They could make a blockbuster trade somehow.
Mhm.
Who else? The Lakers. They could. They're probably the least likely out of the four, but like if you move on from LeBron and then build around Luka, and you
You,
have Luka and Reeves playing in the
you still
series,
have Luka Doncic, dude. That's
yeah,
crazy.
Yeah, but Luca
like
wasn't healthy in this playoffs. I'll say this: if Luca was healthy, the odds are the Lakers probably sweep the Rockets based on how the Rockets played, and the Lakers probably win a game against Oklahoma City if Luca's healthy. And we should also add off Luca might have not been a great matchup for the Thunder, seeing that he kind of torched them the year they didn't go to the finals 2 years ago. So that could have been an X factor. I don't think the Lakers would have stood a chance against the Thunder even with a healthy Luca, but still, I mean, I'm just saying that could have
I
been
think they would have stood a much better chance because in the playoffs he just sometimes decides to not lose. But like,
He's so good.
but like looking at the East, like
Mhm.
the New York Knicks, they have a really solid team, and they could figure out something defensively during the finals, lose the finals, and then run it back next year. The Boston Celtics can be healthy and find a center. Like, there's a lot of things that like Jake, Jake and I are trying to point out that like it's not going to be like three-peating. You saying their chance of three-peating is high is just not. It's not correct because there are just so many dominoes. Not
We
like
also
let's
have
say
to
they're
win it
completely
this year.
healthy.
We do have to emphasize they have to win it this year. And I'll say
Yeah,
this on
that's
the
what's so
record.
crazy is they still
If
haven't won it this year.
if
Yeah,
Oklahoma City if Oklahoma City gets to the finals, I think they're winning the whole thing. I don't think anyone in the East stands a chance. I'll be completely honest with you. I don't see
That's
the Cavs
probably
beating
true.
them. I don't see the Pistons beating them. I don't see the Knicks beating them. I think all three of them, gentlemen sweep if it's Oklahoma
I could
City.
maybe see the
Maybe a
Pistons.
sweep if it's
I
the
mean, I
Pistons
could
or
maybe see
Cavs.
the
The
Knicks on a
Knicks
good
might be
day.
able to do it.
You
Not,
think the Knicks
I'm
could?
not
I think
I
it
don't. I see the Knicks winning a game in that series easily.
Thunder
I
and
think the
six
Pistons or
probably against
Cavs
the
get
Knicks.
swept or gentlemen swept. That's me. I think the Knicks would get gentlemen swept. That's
I
how
think the
good I
Knicks
think the
get
Thunder are.
the Knicks get it back to New York.
If they can win a game in Oklahoma City, I don't see that happening. And I see Oklahoma City winning a game in New York. I do.
The Knicks will get it back
Yeah.
to New York, I bet.
Well,
But we'll
Wait,
talk
might
about that
go
when we get
five or
there.
six.
moving
I'll
on
say
to the next series. You've talked about this
The
way
Knicks
too
could move
long.
on.
Move
All
on
right,
to the
okay.
next one.
Who knows?
This series is
Oklahoma
over.
City still has to play San Antonio or Minnesota too.
The
So,
Spurs are probably
but,
going to trade for somebody, by the way, between now and then. Their second best player next year will not be De'Aaron Fox. I can guarantee you that.
well, speaking
I
of
don't
the
think there's second best
Spurs,
players here in Fox now.
let's talk about them. They're playing the
I'm missing
Minnesota
somebody on their
Timberwolves.
roster. I know I am.
Stephon Castle.
Yeah, that's who I was missing.
Stephon
Okay.
Castle might be their second
They will
best
have a
player.
secondary star that is not Steph Castle next year. They're going to trade
Stephon
for
Castle's
somebody.
still a good player. I think we need
They're going
that.
to trade for Donovan Mitchell, obviously. Saw that one on Twitter for Dylan Harper and some picks, baby.
I will
Blow
say
it
this:
up.
Victor Wembanyama and Donovan Mitchell on the same roster would work well together. But as a Cavs fan, I really hope that doesn't happen.
I would love Dylan Harper. I'll take it.
I would love Dylan Harper. He played like a dog last game.
He's a hooper,
Well, the
dude.
Cavs
All
better
right,
get
moving on
LeBron
to
or
the
someone
Cavs
else. No, we're talking
or the
Spurs
Knicks. I don't know,
T-Wolves.
or whoever else is
We're
next.
talking
We're talking
Spurs.
about Spurs on
The
Timberwolves.
Timber Puppies.
Yeah, well, the Timberwolves they have Game 6 at home tonight, as we're recording this tomorrow, but tonight if you're watching this, it's Game 6. It's in Minnesota. I'm the outlier that picked the T-Wolves to beat the Spurs in the series, so I'm gonna ride it out and say that Anthony Edwards goes off at home and we have a Game 7. And I personally think Minnesota in that environment in San Antonio, which is a tough place to play, could somewhat pull it out. I think it's possible. But the Spurs are young and scrappy. They're still fun to watch, but I still think there's flaws everywhere. And I think it's primarily their youth. They did win some blowouts here, but I honestly think it's the lack of the T Wolves showing up as opposed to the Spurs really showing their stuff around. They're young and they're scrappy. They're going to win some blowout games. I still think the T Wolves have a shot to win this series with the veteran presence they do and get to Oklahoma City where they will likely be gentlemen swept. But I will leave the floor open. I think the series goes 7 and Minnesota rides it out. I just don't trust the Spurs youth yet, but the Spurs are still very impressive, and I definitely think next year can build upon what they've built this year. What do you guys think?
I think you think the Oklahoma City Thunder are the 73-10 Bulls.
72-10 Bulls.
Who cares?
I
My
don't
point
think they
still
are.
stands.
Different eras.
You talk about them like they're the 72-10 Bulls or the
They're
73-9
not.
Warriors. Right. So maybe they
The
won't gentlemen
73
sweep
and
the
9
Timberwolves.
Warriors didn't even win a championship.
That's the point that I'm trying to tell you right now.
The 73 and 9, at least the 72-10 Bulls won a championship. The 73 and 9 Warriors.
Never mind.
Didn't.
Never mind. Never mind.
Just
Never mind.
give me a break, mate.
It's fine. You didn't want to. You didn't want to listen to what I said, so it's fine. I'm moving on.
I want to listen
My
to what
point
you
is
said.
that
Finish
you
it.
can't just say they're likely going to get gentlemen swept when this is a team that lost like 20 something games this year. There's a slim chance they lose 4 out of 7 to a team that's really good. Like they are not invincible. They're just really good.
Well, the Spurs in 2016, 2017, about 10 years ago, they won 60 games just to get swept by Golden State with Kevin Durant.
Right. You're
Kawhi Leonard had
already
those Spurs up by 23 in game 1, and then Zaza Pachulia ran into Kawhi, and Kawhi was done for the year, and the Spurs didn't win a game in that series.
right. So exactly my point that you could be the greatest team ever but not win.
Well,
Yeah.
the Spurs
The
weren't the greatest
73-9
team ever
Warriors were
that
up
year.
3-1 on the low-level Cavs.
I'm just saying the Spurs won 60 games in 2016, 17. And
You guys are talking about the two separate things while trying to make the same point. So I'm
Well,
just going to
he's
steal
trying
this.
to argue that I don't know what he's
Okay.
arguing.
This
He's arguing for
this
me.
argument is going not towards the series. Either way, I'm riding it out with the T-Wolves. What do you guys think?
I think that um, Victor Wembanyama proved that even despite his quote unquote inexperience in the NBA, that he is very experienced in the game of basketball. And he showed that just the series alone. Like I could talk about last series, how he had some adversity, had some injury, and still was able to play through that. But I'm going to more so talk about just in 2 games ago. What was that, game 4? when he elbowed Nas Reed because they just kept knacking him. They kept being like that irritant, and he finally snapped. Versus Game 5, they tried doing the exact same thing to the point that where Anthony Edwards, who usually is about backyard jail yard basketball, is trying to like fish a tech out of the refs so they could stop Victor Wembanyama, and he was just laughing them off. He was like, you know what, we're gonna keep this to basketball, and then he dropped 27 points and 17 rebounds. And like, this team is not just Victor Wembanyama. When Wembanyama subbed out, yes, they did play worse. I mean, they did do worse, but it wasn't because they played worse. It was just the Timberwolves are finally like, yes, there's finally not this 7'3" guy 7'6" guy jumping for my shots every time. Maybe I could actually go to the rim. And like, I think Wembanyama has finally figured something out about the intensity about the playoffs, and I don't think it's going to go back to San Antonio. I think it's going to be closed out. Dylan Harper has also played great. Keldon Johnson, like, their pieces are so good, and I don't even need to name De'Aaron Fox. Like, it's been a really great series, and you've been talking about like their inexperience, but they're getting experience like as we speak because they're playing all of these tough games, and they are get like Anthony Edwards will punch you in the mouth, say, "Did you get good?" and then punch you again. Like, if you want experience, go against Anthony Edwards in the Minnesota Timberwolves. So,
Try
like,
and go battle
I think
Rudy Gobert for 40 minutes every single day.
Oh my god!
All
I
right,
know,
yeah,
Wemby. Those two are like really good friends, aren't they? Because they're from in France, and they just probably hate
Yeah.
each other. So they wake up every day going, "This dude again. I can't do another 40 minutes of this guy."
Yeah.
Any thoughts on
Like,
the series,
again.
Jake?
My thoughts are similar. My biggest takeaway was I think Wemby. I don't know if he needed to get ejected or what happened. I think that's something clicked in his mind after the ejection because the performance that he put on in game 5 was enough for me to say, oh boy, this thing might be
Should have been
hurting.
suspended, by the way. I just want to say that for the
Should
record.
have.
Yeah,
I
well,
agree.
I agree too. But the point is that um, I think he was not, for some reason, the first couple of games of this series, he wasn't playing his best on offense. It was like weird, and now
Yeah.
he is. After last game, I'm fully convinced that he's figured it out, and he's not going to let anyone stop him. Because I think Rudy got to him a little bit, and then the other night he was like, no, 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 no. I'm 7'17". Like, I'm good. And what's crazy is he's so talented, and I don't even think he knows at his age how talented he is yet. And he's only going to get better from that. Like last game was a great example of, oh man, he's figuring out how good he is. When he's 25, whew,
Yeah.
he's gonna be good though. It'll
Yeah,
be a
he's
fun
going to be.
game. It's great. I like that game 6 is in Minnesota, so there's at least the Spurs have to overcome the difficulty of that building.
And will the Pistons overcome the difficulty of Rocket Arena tonight as the
Exactly.
Cavs take on the Pistons? And Matthias might be right, but I don't want to say he is right because there's still a game 6 and a possible game.
I would love the Cavs to win in 6 because I still get a point, and that would be fantastic.
And I don't get anything either way, unless Detroit wins the series. But I'd rather the Cavs win the series and not get the points and pay for dinner than that. So I will just say that off the rip.
I just want second.
I know you do.
That's all I've ever
Uh,
wanted.
I was so scared betting on, well, quote unquote, betting the Cavs because I was like, man, they both just picked Detroit. And if the Cavs blow this for me, I lose the entire thing.
Yeah,
Because
you
that's
do.
essentially what it's coming down to. And I'm just like, you know
well,
what? I'm just going to full commit and cry later.
I hope you're right for what it's worth. I want you to get as many points as possible there.
I'll say this for this Pistons Cavs matchup. I mean, the Cavs kind of got lucky in these playoffs again if they end up winning this series because the Pistons are also inexperienced and it's JB Bickerstaff. that might be the matchup the Cavs needed to get to the conference finals. Like it wasn't Indiana coming into the series, pardon me, coming into the series blazing hot, going 30 and 13 to end the year, winning 50 games, coming out of nowhere. It wasn't that. It
Really
wasn't,
inexperienced team, by the way.
yeah, I know. It wasn't the Boston Celtics that dominated. I know that the Pacers did have experience the year before, but they still bad matchup. It wasn't the Boston Celtics, like that going on the championship run with Tatum and Brown and them only gentlemen sweeping or sweeping every series to get to the finals. It wasn't like cakewalk like those teams like those powerhouses, I guess I should.
Indiana should have been a cakewalk. Let's just be blatantly honest with ourselves. That team was not
Tyrese
better than
Halliburton
us.
was Tyrese Halliburton was clutch at the right time. I mean, if the Cavs would have won game two, I have a feeling the Cavs would have made that a series and it would have gone 6 or 7 and had a chance to win it. But
They were
it
so
didn't
much
happen.
better.
Didn't happen. The Cavs didn't prove it last year. They were a regular season team, period.
No,
This
Tyrese
year,
Halliburton
they're a
committed a
playoff
lane
team.
violation, but we
I
won't
will
talk
say
about
So
this.
that.
Last year doesn't matter anymore. And I will throw last year out the window if the Cavs win this series because they got to the Eastern Conference Finals, which is what we were looking for them to do to begin with. So if they
so
get to the Eastern Conference Finals, to me, this season was already way more successful than last year, despite the difference between 64 and 18 and 52 and 30. The regular season doesn't mean jack, okay? I mean, it does mean jack in terms of where you're seated and whatnot. But to me, like,
It,
the
hmm.
Cavs did what they were supposed to against Toronto. They might maybe didn't gentlemen sweep the series. They still won the series. And then they're probably going to beat the Pistons, possibly. I mean, I don't want to bring that into existence. It's looking good for them. If they get to the Eastern Conference Finals, it's a success to me. I mean, now, are they going to beat the New York Knicks if they get there? Hell no. I don't see them beating the New York Knicks. I don't see the Detroit Pistons beating the New York Knicks either. I think the Knicks are just that much better than both of them. That's my opinion. But to me, like the Cavs, if they win tonight and get to the Eastern Conference Finals, already a better season than last year. I'm sorry, already I will take getting to the Eastern Conference Finals over getting gentlemen swept by Indiana any day of the week. And we
If
have
you're
a little
listening
bit
to
of
this
time left, guys.
podcast, please, for your health, take a shot every time Andrew says gentleman sweep, and we'll see you on the floor by about the 4 minute mark.
and take another shot every time he says inexperienced to a team that has experience.
Yeah, you will not make it through the first 5 minutes of this podcast.
All right,
Because
gentlemen, since
Andrew,
this has become
how
the
much
roast of Andrew
experience did the
Hody,
team?
since it's
How,
become the
how
I
much
roast
just
of
want
Andrew
to,
experience
I
did the
Hody,
just think
team?
it's funny because you've worn out the word gentleman sweep to the point now where I don't even remember what it means. I don't even know what it is
well,
anymore.
we're on a time crunch here, guys, so let's get right to it.
Okay, so Andrew, my question to you: What does it? What does? What's the point where you have enough experience? Because the the Knicks team that you have been praising for good reason this entire, I mean, not this entire playoffs, but this entire what 35 minutes we've been talking. Um, the Detroit Pistons, who were a worse team last year, pushed this team to six, and then they had experience playing that, so they've had experience playing in New York, and they've had a really good and they had a really good series with them. And then they had experience with each other in the regular season. And then they just came back from 3-1 against Orlando. So I think this team has experience. It's just Jalen Duren thinks he already has the max contract before he actually has the money in his bank account. And that's genuinely the only reason why they're not winning the series.
All right, Jake.
Honestly, I mean, I just like the Cavs, I think are just a better team. And we've talked about, I think we've talked a lot in this postseason about if you took the seven best players or five best players in the series, what team would they fall on? And if the Cavs have three of the top five, four of the top five best players in the series, and sometimes it just comes down to talent. Yeah, they've gotten a little lucky, and they've gotten, but like sometimes you just need to be lucky in the playoffs Sometimes you just need Draymond Green to get suspended so that you can win a game in the NBA Finals. Sometimes you need Steph Curry to decide he can't shoot for 3 straight games. Things happen in the postseason, and I think the Cavs really, really showed how good they are in game 5 in the last like 10 minutes of game time in that game. And if you get that Cavs team, they're really hard to beat. When Strus can hit his shots, when Harden's facilitating, when Mobley is playing like Mobley can play. You talk about a guy who doesn't know how talented he is. Evan, dude, you're so good. Please play good. You're so good.
Do,
When
do
you
I
get
do I
that
have
Evan
time for
Mobley, huh?
do I have time for my apology letter?
I'll
We
give
got
you as
we got 2:30 left. Go ahead.
you could do an
Okay, I
apology
got
letter.
you.
We don't need to do on
So
Mobley.
first, I have an
All right.
apology to.
White
I would
Sox
like to.
are in the wild card spot. That's all we have for MLB right now.
They're really fun to watch. Give them a watch. The batting is really good.
Go on, Matthias.
Okay, so I would like to apologize to Evan Mobley. I said that you have been a disappointment all season, and when I mostly stand by that in the regular season, in the
He
playoffs, you
was
have
disappointing in the regular season.
yes. In the regular playoff, I mean in the playoffs, you have been playing significantly better, and your personal 5 point run that you did to end the third quarter really saved the Cavs. And I've been tired of you shooting threes, but if you start making them, I got to start shutting up. So this is me shutting
Kid
up
hit
and
the
saying, I'm sorry, keep shooting. You did great. James
biggest
Harden, I'm
three of
sorry
his
that I was mad that
life.
they get. I'm sorry that I was mad that they didn't keep Garland. You really proved yourself this game. Just don't blow it like it's Houston. And yeah, that's all I got.
All right, fair enough.
I think Mobley played the best 20 plus minutes of basketball I've seen from him in a long, long, long time in
The
game
Cavs,
5. And I
Yeah.
just hope he continues to do that.
the Cavs played a great second half. I think the second half was really the telltale sign of that game, and they played a great second half in Game 4. I mean, they crushed the Pistons in Game 4. To me, they just look like the better basketball team. I think the Cavs win tonight, close it out at home, and even if they don't close it out, I think they can go to Detroit and win. They proved they could do that. I think they can get the job done. I really do.
They lose tonight, they're not winning in Detroit. I don't
You
have
don't
any
think so?
confidence in that. No, I have no confidence in that.
I think they could.
I don't trust James Harden and Donovan Mitchell in a game 7. I can't bring my heart to do that.
Well, I trusted both of them in Game 7 against Toronto, and it did come to fruition. So
This is not Toronto.
that's true too. That's true too. It's
And we
Detroit.
were at home in that one.
A Raleigh, Ohio did leave us a comment about the Lake Erie Crushers. We'll get back to his comment next week just because we're limited on time. Thank you so much for tuning into Raw Takes.
Go Sky, baby. 2-0.
2-0 for the Sky. I know we had some WNBA takes that we didn't get to this podcast. We'll certainly get to them next week. For Matthias Andahar and Jake Malencic, I'm Andrew Hody. Thank you for tuning into Raw Takes & Co. Stay tuned. Leave a comment. Give us your thoughts. We want to hear from you, and we'll give you a shout-out on the show as well.
Drink
Have a good one,
of these.
everybody.
Every time he says gentleman sweep.
Take it easy.
Cavs in 6, baby.